That was the former second overall pick, Jack Eichel, of the Buffalo Sabres, leading us into this season preview. The Sabres are going to be the next team that we got. I have done the Anaheim Ducks and the Boston Bruins. If you would like to go backwards and listen to them, we are still early on. This is number 3 of 32. Last season, the Buffalo Sabres finished 6th in the Atlantic Division. That is 22nd in the NHL, with a record of 39, 37, and 6, with a whopping 84 points. They were this close to being in playoff contention, but yet again, they could not do it. Kevin Adams is going into his 4th year as general manager of this lovely team. He has done a pretty good job of continuing to add assets to this team without making them exponentially better. So I believe that he will be on the hot seat after this season. They have brought in Buffalo Sabres legend Lindy Ruff to coach this team next year. Don Granato was shit-canned because he could not get these guys to buckle down and make the playoffs. Lindy Ruff, important to note, also shit-canned after fans in New Jersey were begging for him to get fired 2 years ago. They made the playoffs and had a great season and a good playoffs. And then he shit the bed last year, and then they shit-canned him, put him on the unemployment line. He was shaking change on the corner, and then Kevin Adams came in and was like, hey, you know what we need? A little splash of nostalgia. Let's bring you back in. So, Buffalo, we are here. And you didn't rebrand to the Goat Head like we wanted. That was incredibly disappointing. Tage Thompson, huge proponent of the Goat Head, wants to go full-time to the Goat Head. I'm fucking with you. You need to. Speaking of Tage Thompson, last season took a massive step backwards after getting a gigantic deal the year before. Tage Thompson last year, 71 games played, 29 goals, 27 assists. That is 56 points. That is not the amount of points that you want an $8 million guy to have. He popped the year before and then fell off a cliff. Another guy that fell off a cliff, Alex Tuck, didn't really play very great either. He was almost a point per game 2 years ago, and then now last year he finished with 59 points. Rasmus Dahlin still kicking though, leading the team in points, 59 points, solid two-way defenseman, probably by far their best player. JJ Peterka though, important note, took a huge step last year, 82 games played, 28 goals, 22 assists, 50 points. So shout out to you, JJ. We love Germany. Not the old one though. Old Germany is bad. All right. Goaltending. We have a situation in Buffalo. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, all-time goalie name. Played 54 games last year, 27 wins, 22 losses, 4 OT losses. 2.57 goals against average, .910. Fucking incredible numbers for this young goaltender. We're going to now transition to the other young goaltender, the guy that I said was going to win the Calder and carry the Sabres to the playoffs last year, Devin Levi, formerly of Northeastern. He played 23 games, had a record of 10-8-2, which is 500 for those keeping score at home, goals against average of a 3.10, and a save percentage of a .899. That is incredibly mid. Not good in any scenario. And I'm a little concerned for his future because he is getting outplayed by some guy that they definitely would rather, they'd rather have Devin Levi come in and do it. He was doing the cool Yoda shit, all the fucking Qui-Gon Jinn shit. He's a little bit of a fucking nerd, but he was locking in. He was doing his fucking Jedi rituals on the ice, getting ready to fucking save some pucks with his mind and shit. And he just fucking ate dick last year. He got sent down to the AHL at one point. It was just not good. So it'll be interesting to see how they compete in camp. Maybe Devin can, do a little bit more. UPL got re-signed in the offseason. I did not fucking write down what he's making, though, because that would be fucking stupid. That would be too much sense, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen contract. Look, everybody's Googling it. He got signed to a 5-year, $23 million bonus. That is an average AAV of 4.75. That is not good if you're Devin Levi. That is a bad omen. People are going to know now that they do not have that much faith in you because they were willing to give another guy $5 million. So tough look for you, Devin. Tough looks for Buffalo all around. I mean, we've been doing this for like 4 years. It's kind of like the Ducks at this point, or the Sens. Like we're like, we're the Devils for a long time, and like you guys got a bright future ahead of you, and it's just never coming. It hasn't come yet. It doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. So I'm a little bit concerned for them and their future. Not really sure how they get better because you gave Tage the deal. You gave Dylan Cousins the deal too. I didn't even talk about him. Dylan Cousins. 79 games played, 18 goals, 29 assists, 47 points. He's making $7 million. If you're below 50 points, you are at most a $5.5 million player. If you're an offensive player, at least if you're a winger, they overpaid the fuck out of him, and these guys need to start performing. I mean, Owen Power has not impressed. He's going to be making $8 million next year. He is not an $8 million player right now. And he doesn't look like he's going to be after the way that he's played last year. They have that other dude. What the fuck is his name? I'm sounding really unprepared, but I promise you I did do research. I really did. There's so much that I did, I promise. Anyways, we'll go back to my point here. But you've thrown a lot of money at guys, and you even have dudes like you sent off Casey Middlestat. Casey Middlestat had a pretty good season last year, and he probably would have stayed pretty good if he stayed on the Sabres. Obviously, he did pretty well in the playoffs with the Avs, and overall just pretty well with the Avs. But Bowen Byram has not impressed since he got his deal either. So you have a lot of mid-level defensive prospects and just prospects in general that are making way too much money. Matthias Samuelsson, that's the guy that they gave a pretty decent deal to. So I don't know. I don't understand what their game move is. It's a bit rough to watch from the stands because, these fans deserve to be good. They deserve a good team. And they have a million fucking prospects. I mean, they are ranked first in prospects in the NHL. They have dudes all over the place. They got Yuri Yolik, who's a 20-year-old center, 57 games in the AHL last year, 27 goals, 18 assists. Konsta Helenius, he was a draft pick this year, 18 years old, played in Finland. Liga, I believe, is the league that he played in. 14 goals, 22 assists, 36 points. Noah Ostland, another center. They only draft fucking centers. It's the same thing with Anaheim. How many fucking centers do you need? You need diversity in your lineup. You're going to need a fucking winger at some point. And all of these guys can't play fucking center. I guess it's easier to go from center to wing and not wing to center. But still, what the fuck are we doing? Just pick a winger if he's there. I don't understand. Team needs. They obviously don't need defensemen. So, they have a million young defensemen. So stop drafting those, which they've done. Obviously they still have, who the fuck was the dude, stud, Zach Benson. He's still there. Jack Quinn's still there. He's a young fucking, top six forward. Benson could probably play top six. So, they got a lot of guys, a lot of options, a lot of skilled forwards. What they need is some grit, So what they did, they went out, they traded Matthew Savoy, who is another skilled WHL fucking put up 90 points guy. In juniors, and they brought in Ryan McLeod, who was a fucking great third-line player for the Oilers on their cup run, which resulted in failure, obviously. And then they also have Peyton Krebs, who is an RFA right now, but we'll get into that later. I'm just getting too horny. All right, so speaking of, bringing in guys. Jason Zucker, veteran, been around Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Nashville. He's 32 years old, signed a 1-year, $5 million contract. 79 games played last year, 14 goals, 18 assists, 32 points. Doesn't really do much. Probably slotted in on the third line. realistically, I mean, I would put Benson on the second line for development reasons over him, but whatever, we'll see. That's where Daily Faceoff has him. Brought in Sam Lafferty, 2-year, $2 million deal. That is what I'm talking about. This is a bottom six utility guy who did very good with Vancouver Canucks throughout the season last year. I really like that move. Nicholas Alb-Kubel, I'm pretty sure he won a cup with one of the teams in the last couple of years. Maybe it was the Caps. Who knows? He's 28. He's a fourth liner. He can, do some things, play some PK if you really want. They brought in James Reimer as a backup. He's done pretty good, all things considered, the last couple of years. I think he was in Detroit last year. 3.11 goals against average, .904 save percentage. Not bad for a dude who's fucking 36. So that will give Devin Levi, some competition in camp for that backup spot. They re-signed Yoki Haru, 1 year, $3.1 million. He never really lived up to the hype that everybody thought he was going to have, but, he's been there for 6 years, so he's familiar with the team. Outgoing, there's a couple familiar faces that we were saying goodbye to. Victor Olofsson, a guy that I personally had a lot of promise for, especially early on in his career when he was playing with Eichel. He is off to Vegas. Zemgus Jizstains, whose name I've said way too much in the last couple of months. I cannot believe how much I've said those exact words on this podcast because I probably will never talk about him again until he retires. He is off to Tampa Bay. Jeff Skinner, bought out. Career loser, Jeff Skinner. He has never played in a playoff game. I don't know how you've been in the NHL, played 1,000 games, and never played one single playoff game. It might be you. You might be the curse, man. You might be the biggest loser in the NHL. I do kind of like him, though, but you might be a big loser. That's all. That's all I got. Eric Comrie went off to Winnipeg. He played 10 games last year. Tyson Yost off to Carolina. He could never cut it there. It's very weird because I felt like early on in his career, Colorado had a lot of high hopes for him. He got shipped off, never amounted to anything in Buffalo, and played a little bit in the AHL, and then is now in Carolina. So, moves. Let's think here. Bowen Byram's contract's going to be up next year. You don't need, if you're going to pay him like $6 million, you probably don't need him. That'd be an interesting move at the deadline. Maybe bring in some vets in exchange, or more assets, which you have plenty of, so you can use it to trade for somebody who's actually of use. Alex Tuch's contract is going to be expiring. He's on a very team-friendly deal right now, so any team could use him if you retain. Peyton Krebs, like I previously mentioned, still an RFA. If you don't want to sign him, he's another middle six skilled guy that you have a million of. So maybe trade him if you'd like, because it seems like he doesn't really have a spot at this point. Because we got Tage, Dylan Cousins, Ryan McLeod. Where do you plug him in? I don't know. I don't think he has a spot on this team anymore. Trade him. Too many skilled guys. Never a good thing, especially for a guy like Lindy. Lindy likes to hold people accountable. He likes rough play. He's an old school guy. When the Sabres used to have fucking Matt Barnaby, and if you've never watched a Matt Barnaby mixtape, holy fuck, this guy used to pump eyes shut, and he was a psycho while he was doing it too. There's that one clip where he's laughing in the face of a dude with some fucking psycho killer look. That guy was fucking nails. I'm pretty sure I was sperm when he was, a rookie in the NHL. But I've seen enough of those videos to know that guy was a scary motherfucker, and Lindy probably loved every second of that. So the Sabres need guys like that. Maybe not today's equivalent, but they need somebody that would run around and be a maniac. I'd love Brendan Lemieux. Brendan Lemieux on this team would be nice. It'd add a little interest to the bottom six. At one point, he was in the franchise. I believe he was traded in a... Fuck, what was it? What was that trade? I gotta find it now. Brendan Lemieux, Buffalo trade. That's a very random trade. The Sabres traded him because he refused to sign. At the time, they called it a blockbuster trade. Man, they could not have been more wrong. Brendan Lemieux was traded for... What the fuck? You're not going to tell me who he was traded for? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. They traded him for Zach Bogosian and Evander Kane. So it was Brendan Lemieux, a first-round pick, a fourth, Zach Bogosian, and Evander Kane. Holy shit, Winnipeg lost that deal. Brendan Lemieux became a nobody, but he is a fucking loser piece of shit, just like his dad. So shout out to you, Brendan. I would love to see you on this team. Again, I think this team is way too young. We don't have any real vets here. I think the only guys that have been around, we have Sam Lafferty, he's 29, Jason Zucker, 32, Alb Kubel's 28, that's still pretty young, Jordan Greenway, 27, still pretty young, and Alex Tuck, 28, still pretty young. Connor Clifton's been on a couple successful Bruins teams, but most of the guys on this team are under 26. And that usually amounts to a lot of lost games and a lot of lost, will to live in the NHL, if you will. I think they're going to miss the playoffs again, especially with how loaded. Like, they're not better than Detroit, and Detroit's not better than Tampa, and Tampa's not better than Boston, and Boston's not better than Toronto, and Toronto's not better than Florida. So that's 5 teams that they have to get in front of, and I don't think it's happening. So another year of depression in Buffalo. You guys are probably used to it at that point. So it's always fucking shitty in Buffalo. So RIP to you guys. I love Labatt, so there's that. Great job. Yeah, so that wraps this one up. We will see you tomorrow. Who's next? Who is after the Buffalo Sabres? We will be talking about the Calgary Flames. If you liked this preview, go watch the previous 2. If you didn't like it, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, follow on Instagram, follow on TikTok. If you want to follow me on Twitter, cool. That's cool, I guess. Yeah, that's all I got. We will see you tomorrow for the Calgary Flames.